Hey everybody, welcome back to Grain Free Homestead. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to make pepper jelly. Pepper jelly is, I think, what would you use pepper jelly for? Pepper jelly is great with cream cheese and crackers. We don't eat crackers, but I have grain-free crackers, or we use like grain-free tortilla chips. It's just a great snack dip, but it's a wonderful gift. It makes a really beautiful jelly, and it makes a great gift for people. It's kind of expensive to buy in the store. If you go and buy sweet pepper jelly or even the jalapeno pepper jelly, it's expensive. It's $15 to $20 for a small jar of it. So I like to make it every year. It's great as gifts or in a gift basket, things like that. Also, we have peppers running out of our ears. So this is some jalapeños, sweet bell pepper, and down in there is some of those real pretty orange lunchbox peppers or yum yums. And then back here we've got some jalapeños, a bucket of jalapeños, and guys, this is just what's left after we've given away, I don't even know, twice as much as this. And we haven't picked the garden. We didn't pick it last night, and we need to pick it tonight. And there's going to be probably this much or more again tonight. So I have my jalapeños out here too. They weren't in this bucket. They were separate. And I like to use a mix of red. I like them to get good and red. It makes it like a sweet heat in the pepper jelly. And then I do some green ones too. But I like to really balance the pepper jelly with the reds. And let me get to them down here. And I use these orange sweet lunchbox peppers. It really makes, I don't have to add any kind of dye or food coloring to the jelly. You'll see when I get done how pretty it is. It's just, it's beautiful. And so I'm going to walk you through the steps of how I make the pepper jelly. So first things first, I use this Ball Home Preserving canning book. And if you flip to page 126 and 127, there's an easy jalapeno jelly and a red pepper and garlic jelly recipe. And they're two different recipes. So last year or the year before, I can't remember. I think it was the year before, because this will be my third time. So I like the easy jalapeno jelly, but I also love the sweet red bell peppers and just the sweet taste in the pepper jelly. And I like minced garlic in there. So what I have done is I have combined the two recipes successfully. And they're quite a bit different from each other. One calls for 2 cups of vinegar. The other one only calls for 3/4 cups of vinegar. One calls for 2 pouches of liquid pectin. One calls for 1 pouch. So the first time I made this, it was trial and error, guys. I'm just being honest with you. The jalapeno jelly calls for 6 cups of sugar, and the other one only calls for 3 cups. So I have written down here my recipe, and I will leave that in the description for you guys, because the first time I did it, it didn't get quite thick enough. It gelled, but it was pourable, and it wasn't, I'm gonna say it was about like honey, maybe not quite that thick. So I have learned what to do, and I don't use liquid pectin, guys. I can't hardly find it, and it's super expensive. So guys, I'm just telling y'all, being honest, I use the yellow box Sure Gel. You could easily use the pink box. I just don't have any right now. So I'm gonna get to cracking on showing you guys what the important steps are for pepper jelly. So here we have most of what we need to make our pepper jelly. I've got me a cutting board. You will need a good pair, maybe 2 pair of some type of gloves. I've just got the like vinyl latex gloves. I have my jalapenos here, so this is about how many I'm using. It depends on how much heat that you want in your pepper jelly. Red bell pepper, I may have to pull some out that I've frozen, because I like to freeze them red. So I have a ton that I have frozen this year. But I think these are jalapeños. So jalapeños are jalapeno with no heat. So we get the jalapeno flavor, but not the heat. So I'm going to be using the red ones that I have of the jalapeños. I have a couple sweet, they're like a lunchbox, but they're a bigger pepper. We saved the seeds on that, so I have a feeling it was from a lunchbox pepper. And when I grew them this year, they just weren't true lunchbox and are bigger, which we are totally okay with. So I have several red ones. Now this makes the jelly beautiful too, is I have a whole, and very sweet, is a bunch of these Yum Yums that are orange. And so the bucket is kind of full down in there of those. So here are my peppers. I do have more on standby over here. So this is a whole bucket of jalapeños. This is what I have left of our jalapeños. We'll also need a food processor. This is how I chop up the peppers for the jelly. I like to leave mine a little chunky, so it just is up to you guys and what your preference is on how little of the pieces of the peppers that you want. Of course, you'll need your canner and my recipe. And so this is a pretty rough estimate. This is my rough estimate. You know, 3 red bell peppers plus the lunchbox ones, the orange ones. 2 to 3 teaspoons of minced garlic, 6 red jalapenos, 3 to 4 green jalapenos. And so it's 1 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, 4 1/2 to 5 cups of sugar. So it called for 6 cups in the original jalapeno recipe. So I cut it back. I start with 4 1/2 and I will taste test it to see if it's sweet enough, because the sweetness of the peppers affects that too. And then I have 1+ pouch of pectin. Guys, when I can, you know, it's not always to a T, and I will do a gel test using 1 pouch. If it doesn't gel like I would like, I will add a 1/2 pouch to a whole other one to it to see if it gels. And that's just how I can. Because I'm combining these 2 recipes and they call for different amounts, you know, it just depends. It depends on each batch. But I do use at least 1 box, sometimes up to 2. I wanted to show everyone how I do the jalapenos. You definitely have to have gloves, like I said. I'm starting with my red jalapenos first. I scrape all the seeds out into a bowl. If you like it hot, you can leave the seeds in and it will make it hotter. When we grow jalapenos, I don't know if it's the variety of the seeds that we have or our soil, they're hot. They're hotter than like a pickled jalapeno or something we would get at a restaurant. So we can use a limited amount of jalapenos, and then that's why we use so many of the sweets and the jalapenos. So I am extra careful with the hot ones because, you know, you get that oil on your fingers and it can take 2 to 3 days to get that oil off, or if you rub your eyes or your fingertips, just they'll feel numb and burn for a really long time. It's very hard to get off, so definitely have some gloves. If you don't want as much heat, scrape all the seeds and then that flesh, scrape it into the bowl. And that's what I am doing now. And so this is all the jalapenos that I am using for this recipe. So I'm gonna get to, I use a spoon. I just cut the top off, and then I just use a spoon, and I'm very careful. I kind of point away when I do it, because the juice, when you push the spoon, it sprays out juice a little bit. So I kind of squint my eyes, or even if I had safety goggles, that would probably be good. I don't have glasses, but if you wear glasses, definitely wear them. But I kind of aim it down when I'm doing it as best as possible, because I have had it squirt in my eye and it is no fun. And so I'm just trying to prevent that. Also be careful, everything that you touch with your gloves, if you're going to touch your food processor or you're going to touch a pot or a pan, even the knife, the handle of the knife, if you're going to use it later, you need to make sure that you wash it really good with a dish soap to get that oil off. I have had transfer heat where I was done with the hot peppers and I went to my sweet peppers and I had hot all over my knife, and I ended up still getting it in my eyes and on my fingertips. So just kind of be methodical about the hot part and making sure you wash everything thoroughly, because it is just no fun, and it's hard to get the heat out even when you're using like Dawn soap or something. It doesn't always get it all once it soaks into your skin. Okay guys, so the last time we made these, it was me and my mom, and we were chopping up the hot part, you know, processing the hot peppers, and it literally almost took our breath away. It made our noses start running, like our sinuses, and our throats were raw. It almost took our breath away. So in the middle of it, we're like, oh, we have, you know, tons of these masks laying around. So we used a mask. And so I am going to use a mask. It helped me tremendously last time. I'd much rather use a mask or something like this than anything else. So if you see me with the mask, it is keeping it and helping it, because it really is strong. Even though they're just jalapenos, it is strong enough that it goes all kind of throughout the kitchen and the living room area. So I'm just going to pulse these up. I'm going to get these to kind of a chunky consistency. It's totally your preference how minced up you want the peppers. So this is the consistency that I did. Bigger than Fruity Pebbles. Trying to think of a way to...
So the Fruity Pebble measurement scale?
Yeah. So they're not going to be all even. This is just an estimation. There's a couple big chunks in there. It's okay. We still got to cook it down some. It'll be all right. This kind here is the jalapeño. So I did take my gloves off, but this is not hot. So I got a jar of my pepper jelly. I don't know if y'all can see the color. It looks darker on camera. It's really light and like an orangey honey color. And it has all those bits of jelly in there. So it's really pretty. It's not doing it justice. It's not quite as dark as it is on camera. But it has a beautiful color to it. There we go. That shows it a little better. You can kind of see that golden color in it. So this is what the peppers look like when they've been all chopped up. You can see the beautiful colors in there. That's kind of what you're looking for. So we're going to start adding our ingredients and get the jelly going. So it calls for liquid pectin, and when using liquid pectin, I believe that you add the sugar first, boil it for a minute, then you add the liquid pectin. Well, this is the opposite with like regular powdered pectin. So I am adding my pectin first, just like if I was making strawberry jam or raspberry jam, any kind of other jam. I'm adding the pectin first. I'm gonna go through my ingredients with you. Now again, this is a modified recipe. It's something that I kind of mishmashed together, but I did just look on the Sure-Gel paper that comes with the box. They had a hot pepper relish, is what they called it, recipe, jelly. It's a hot pepper relish, but it's a jelly. And it's very close. I was looking at the measurements and things to what I was using, so that made me feel good that I was on the right track. So I am using, let's see, I'm going to use 2 heaping tablespoons of the garlic. I think the garlic is really good. Adds another just dimension. I am using just the minced in olive oil. It's 4.5 to 5, no, 1 1/4 cup of cider vinegar. Okay, so that was a 1 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I used both. I used a regular one, and then I used one that has the mother in it. So it's whatever you have, that's what I would use. So we've added all the ingredients. We added 1 pack. I decided to go with 1 pack of pectin because I saw that recipe on the little insert that's in here, and that was about the same amount peppers and vinegar and everything, and they only used 1 package, so that's what I'm gonna go with. So I'm currently waiting. I'm bringing this up to, it is up to boil. It is a very strong smell. You may need to wear a mask. And then so I'm waiting on my minute here, and then we can add the sugar in. Now remember, if you use the Peak box for Sure-Gel, because we are normally a pretty keto family. I just haven't been in a while, just due to some other circumstances, things going on. We are grain-free, gluten-free, but I am making this, and I'm cutting the sugar back by a couple cups. You're not supposed to do that with the yellow box, but I do it all the time. But you could use the pink box and even be sugar-free, or add a sugar substitute if you wanted, like monk fruit or something like that, or allulose would probably gel really well. So we're going to add our sugar. We went with 4.5 cups of sugar. Get it all the way in. Go fast. So we're going to stir this in and then get it back up to boiling and time it for a minute again. So I'm watching my timer here, waiting for the minute to click over, and then we'll be ready to jar it up. All right, so we got the jelly jars in the canner, and I've got to get them up to boil. They're on high, and once I get them to a full boil again, I'll start processing time. It will be 10 minutes. Hey everybody, so we went through the whole canning process yesterday, and it was late last night by the time I got done, and by the time that the jars had sealed. So I was just going to record it today. I was going to show you everything, and this morning it dawned on me. I saw it. You can see this. It did not gel. So when I did this yesterday, if you remember correctly, I combined 2 recipes. One called for 1 pouch of pectin, which it was liquid pectin, and one called for 2, which was also liquid pectin. But before I finished, I double checked the insert, because I had never actually looked to see if there was a pepper jelly recipe, and there was, and it called for 1 pouch of pectin from Sure Gel. And it was about the same amounts of peppers and vinegar and sugar that I used. So I'm like, oh, I usually go by this guide that's in here to make sure that, you know, I kind of follow the guidelines a little bit, and I've never not had anything set, like strawberry jam or raspberry jam or anything like that. I've never not had it not set. So I thought 1 pouch, I thought was golden, because it called for 5 cups of peppers, and that's about what I used. So, long story short, it did not set. And pepper jelly should not be solid like a jam. It should be loose, it should be pourable, but it should be pretty thick. So today, we're gonna go through, well, what do you do when it doesn't set? This isn't a waste. You know, when I'm taking the time to can the food, it's not just time, but it's the resources, all those peppers, the vinegar, the sugar, the lids, and just all that time. I want it to be something that we're gonna eat and that we want to eat, not something that sits on the shelf and that I eat if it's a last resort. I don't want that. I want to have higher quality food than, you know, than I could buy at the store. So here's the plan. Just in case this happens with you, you can do this with any kind of jam that does not set, whether it's strawberry, blackberry, raspberry, anything that you're trying to set. Don't just say, oh, well, I guess we'll have strawberry syrup now. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you can do is reprocess it, okay? So I'm gonna take all these off, okay? And I have this lift-a-lid, is that what it's called? Pry-a-lid. And it is old-timey. They're hard to get. I think that I found mine on eBay because I couldn't even find it anymore. And what it does is it will lift the lid without bending it, putting any kind of marks or anything like a traditional can opener can do. I am going to reuse these. I'm going to wash them, get them good and warm and clean, and I'm going to reuse them. I don't want to waste anything. So I'm going to pour all these back into my pan, and what I'm going to do is bring it back up to heat. Bring the jelly mixture back up to heat. And I am going to add, normally for like strawberries or whatever, when you're reprocessing, you see the sugar's already in there. So it takes a little bit more pectin than what it normally would the first time. So I think that there should have been 1.5 pouches, which is what I wanted to use to start with. And I talked myself out of it looking at the the sugar gel insert. So next time I'm gonna go with my gut. So I'm gonna actually use a whole pouch because once the sugar's been added, when you use powdered pectin, it doesn't work as well. I've had it not set before because I was in a hurry and not pay attention, and I added my sugar before my pectin, and my strawberry jam didn't set. So I redid it. You know, you can look up online different ways to do it, but you pour everything back in here, bring it up to heat, add another thing of pectin. It depends on how much, like if it's a full pot of something, you'll need to add a couple of these. But, you know, my pot's only about this full of the jelly, so I think that 1 pouch will do it. And secondly, you don't want pepper jelly to be pepper jam. So you want it to be a little bit loose, but this is watery. So come along with me as we do this, and let's fix this jelly together. See how that took that off without damaging that lid? So we're gonna pour everything back in here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm in the process of getting this back up to heat. I'm gonna get this heated up to where it's like a, not a full boil or anything like that. And then I'm gonna add my pectin. I've got this heating back up. It's starting to steam. So it's hot all the way through. I'm gonna go ahead and add a whole pouch of the sugar gel. And when I do this, I'm gonna stir it all in. And I'm gonna get this back to a full boil, and we're gonna boil hard for 1 minute. It's starting to come to a boil. We want to get it to a really heavy boil, heavier than this. When I stir it, it kind of stirs down. You want it heavier than that. Okay, so this is pretty good. So I'm going to start watching my clock, and we're going to do this for 1 minute. We're just refilling our jars. I poured the contents out of my jars. I did not rewash them. They were sanitized yesterday. They were in the canner yesterday, and they're going back in the canner today. I've done it before where I washed them out, and I'm not going to do it. I want to get this done and over with. You guys probably understand what I'm saying. I will clean the rims again. I already have my vinegar ready. I will make sure the rims are good and clean, but I am not going to redo washing them and going through all of that. Okay guys, so it has been 2 days since the last time that I recorded. And when I've had to reprocess stuff before that didn't set, I had to use more pectin than what you would normally use in the initial recipe. So say I wanted to use 1.5 pouches, I'm like, okay, then I need to just use it for a total of 2. So I knew that I needed to add a full pouch, because when you're reprocessing, that's just, you know, you've already added your sugar into it, so it's harder usually for it to gel. So I didn't even call this pepper jelly. I wrote on the lid pepper jam. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys. This is the one that I reprocessed. Can you see that? There is no movement in that at all. It is not honey-like. That is like, you know, thick jam, which it will be good. It'll be spreadable. So, you know, I can deal with that. That's okay. But it's not perfect pepper jelly like I wanted. So I had so many peppers. We still have peppers out, the yin yang. So on to batch 2. So I'm like, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to show them. I'm going to edit my recipe. I'm going to do 1.5 pouches, because look how thick this is with 2 pouches. So 1.5 pouch of pectin will be perfect, right? These are the thoughts that I'm having. So I did 1.5 pouches. 1.5 pouches was still runny. I mean, like real maple syrup runny, not like Aunt Jemima. Real maple syrup, you know how it's kind of runny? That's the consistency of it. That's too runny, because you know, for pepper jelly, you want it to pour and stay thick on the cream cheese, or, you know, on top of it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it out, I'm gonna reprocess it, and I'm just gonna add the rest of the 1/2 pouch of pectin. So now it's a total of 2 pouches again. So 1.5, 1 was runny, 2 was runny. It's like it wasn't, I mean, not 2. So 1 was kind of runny, and then 1.5 pouches was still runny. It's like it didn't even matter or make a difference. So I had that 1/2 pouch left, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try recooking these, add the pectin, bring it back up to a boil, full rolling boil for, you know, a minute. I did all that, and this is where we are at. I lost a jar in the process. It seems like when I empty my jars and I recook them, I always lose a jar, because I had 7 and I have 6 now. So I'm gonna see if you guys can see. No, you can't. Let me find one here. It looks like it's going to be solid to me, because these are still warm. They're sealed. I shouldn't really be messing with them. So somehow, some kind of little magic is happening in here, where 2 pouches is completely solid, but 1.5 pouch is runny. So if you guys got any input on this, I would appreciate it. But I wanted to show you and bring you along. I didn't want to act like everything turned out perfect, because it didn't. But this happens sometimes when you can. And it's probably my fault for coming up with my own recipe. But I did write the recipe down this time. I'm going to show you guys in my ball book. But, you know, my Aunt Chelsea and my Mamaw both of my mamaws would always tell me, don't mess with the recipe, don't double your jelly recipes. And I didn't double it. I was just combining the easy jalapeno jelly with the red pepper and garlic jelly. I was combining all of those together. So I knew I was experimenting, but this whole deal with the pectin is driving me crazy. So I don't know. It does call for liquid pectin in the recipes, and I don't use liquid pectin. So I don't know. Anybody's got any input? Maybe why does it call for liquid pectin? Let me know, because I don't know why. I will share my recipe. I did change it to 2 pouches because 1.5 did not work. So I don't know. I'm kind of stumped a little bit. It's a wonderful, wonderful taste. We've been eating pepper jelly. We went to a couple different places over the weekend, and everybody loves it. They love the jelly. It's wonderful. It's just the right amount of heat and sweet, and it's got that little bit of garlic in it. I love it. But I wanted to show you guys this because, you know, canning is a learning experience. Canning, you will mess up. There are going to be times when your jelly doesn't set. These were a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. But I have them now, and I'm done, and I'm not doing any more this year. So, you know, in the middle of this, we also did our peach jelly. Turned out a really pretty color. Let's see if you can see it if I put it in the light. Isn't that beautiful? And so, see, it isn't even set solid. That's kind of what I was wanting for that jam. See it moving in there? That's kind of what I was wanting for the pepper jelly. Oh my goodness. See, I'm calling it pepper jam now. Okay, so there it is. That's real life right there for you. I wanted to bring you guys this awesome pepper jelly and show you, you know, how to use up these peppers from your garden, and it did. But in the middle of it, life happens, and things don't always turn out like we think they should. So I wanted to show you guys, you know, I started with 1 pouch because I doubted myself. The next round, I did 1.5, and it still was not enough. So, you know, I ended up using 2 boxes of pectin on both batches, and they both look like they're going to be pretty much like a thick jam. So that'll be okay. It's spreadable. It'll mix with the cream cheese. It's all good. However, next year I have a theory. I think I'm going to get the pectin that you measure out with, you know, by tablespoon, like the jars of it. I may try that. Unless you guys have some awesome pointers or maybe ideas, or maybe you've dealt with this with these types of recipes. I know it has something to do with the vinegar, I think, because usually in my jams there's not any kind of, you know, vinegar or anything. So that's the only thing I can think of that would affect this. So thank you guys for coming along. I hope this helps you guys, you know, and I hope it shows you that, you know, I've been canning for 18 years, maybe more, and stuff like this still happens. And the thing is just kind of pull your boots up and keep your canner going, keep the water in there, don't empty it till you know you're done, and just redo it. Save that stuff. Don't let it go to waste. Okay guys, so that's the end of this video. Give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe. Hope you guys are enjoying this video. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless.